June 24th, 5:32.
You want to go right to approve the bills? Okay, I think there might be one in the envelope there, but these are the PVPC bills.
Oh, yes.
That's going to be excellent.
Referring to this because they subcontracted the service. They didn't tell us ahead of time that was going to be more than what we're.
I don't think they knew there was going to be more of our contract until they got all the orders in. Kathy Mateo was working with, was out of the country for a couple of weeks, and when she got back, she went over on the car accident, and nobody was picking up the slack. So, when we finally got together, I've been sending her emails and checking things. So, there's 2 copies of this. This is the original authorization. This one's already been paid. That was our first one. This one is, it says revised because we got it before in February, but it didn't have any detail. So this, and this is actually the original one.
What is this? Is the word one you sent out? You sent out too, right?
Right.
Okay.
Markup, and then there was,
Yep. Okay. Okay.
This is the original thing. So, and it's, this, I asked about this.
So what are you gonna do all summer?
what's that?
What are you gonna do all summer?
So, we got that invoice and we got this invoice. This brings us to the March 29th, regardless of more than pretty much right to the end of our contract. And this is 6,000. And Ken Cognac is our new representative on this 17. Next bill on the board.
We're not going over this.
This, and look at the total. Are you totally confused now?
No, I get it. I just,
Yeah.
it's hard to go back. Be a heads up.
Yeah. So, because it's fiscal year end, we have to sign these tonight. And this, Chris has already, did this little thing that I didn't realize at the end, so I had to add that. Authorizing, saying yes, the money's in there.
All right, so going back. I get that, but what exactly services?
It's attached there. So we have to go back. I see they have a quick amendment project. They didn't before.
Okay, that's what we were asking for.
Yep. Susan's,
Kendall Street. Dickinson.
Do you listen?
I was trying to, but because you lost your voice, that's a
You lost
double
it.
authority.
Okay. Well, you could read them.
Okay. So Granby DG, we've got a retainer for that, correct?
Yes.
Red Rock Solar,
Yes, they gave us,
we've got,
this
we've got
just
that,
money.
they've got that in escrow too, correct?
Red Rock, that's
think they
Rocky
just-
Lion Street, right?
Yeah, I think they just gave us the amount though for the,
Period.
peer review, not that, not anyone.
So we may not, what Chris is proposing is that we have funds, but not all of this will come out of those funds. It should come out of the escrow
Escrow accounts.
for each of them.
Right.
Okay. Does anybody else want to review these? You good with them? All right, so I'm going to make,
Well, you get over there. You have to do it individually.
yeah, so Bob, I'm going to let you make the motion.
Make a motion to approve the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission invoice number 2 dated June 6, 2019 for the amount of $2,324.54.
Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to approve the invoice from Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, invoice number 3, again dated June 6, 2019,
I'll second that.
for the total amount of $5,175.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. And we have to vote on the amendment too. The amendment. We have to vote on the
Here,
amendment.
this piece here.
Yeah.
I make a motion to pay the bill submitted, the invoice submitted by Ty and Bond dated June 13th, 2019 for the amount of $9,000. This is for professional services rendered through May 25th, 2019.
Does it say what client?
I'm sorry?
Does it say what client? Wasn't that for Granby DG?
I wouldn't imagine so.
I think that's on.
Well, the services rendered this period were performed in accordance with the agreement dated April 4th, 2019. So it's got to be the peer review. Oh, it says, it does say right here, I'm sorry. DG peer review,
Okay.
And the amount of?
$9,000.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yes. What did we have DG put in? Was it $10,000 for peer review in an escrow account?
I think they might have just put 9,000 in. The amount of
But the amount of the
peer review.
anticipated costs? Okay. Okay. That was my only question.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. this is, this is to vote for the amendment of funds to be paid to Pioneer Valley, $7,500 for the total contract value of $13,500. Certification as to the availability of funds. Chris Martin signed. So we have approval?
What amendment is that? I don't ever recall seeing an amendment come over.
It just,
It's to amend the contract for.
because the bills are over the amount
Because
of the
they went over
contract.
based on circumstances we discussed earlier.
Okay.
Glenn's name is on there, so he'll have to sign it.
Yeah.
I'll second your motion, Jim.
Well, you know what, because Glenn's name's on here to sign it, we'll hold this for a vote until he's here.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
Otherwise, I'd say go ahead.
We can't do the May 22nd minutes because Glenn's not here.
Let's,
We can do the June 4th,
Yep.
pretty simple.
I have two changes on the June 4th. On page 2, at the top, I have using a DLT grant, it's the LTA. And then on the very last page, top of the page, I said our next planning board meeting would be Tuesday, June 24th, and it's really Monday. That's all I got.
I'll make a motion to approve the June 4th, 2019 minutes as amended.
And I'll second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. You abstain. And Glenn does too, little does he know. It doesn't matter.
So wait for that as well.
I think there might be some, oh, you want to give me the, do you want to put those invoices all together? Are you going to sign them or is he going to sign them?
He's gonna sign.
Invoice 20 doesn't need to sign, it's already signed.
Keep this with it.
And he's going to sign this one. Okay.
Well, we can sign pass this along for everybody to read, but basically it sums up the denial from the Zoning Board of Appeals to the Granby Bow and Gun Club, Adrian and Mercier, president, denying them this special permit for the range.
Actually, for the
Just
shooter
another-
sheds.
Yeah, shooter sheds, it's just an FYI. All right, so we got an A&R. We'll jump to that.
Sure.
Is there someone
got-
here with an A&R plan to be signed?
There's two.
Fine.
We have one A and R right here with the pen on it, and this is a separate one, I believe.
Okay, let's go to this one
Okay,
first.
first.
Ray, could you explain to the board what you're doing here?
Taking Lot F and Lot E out of 61A.
Which you already did. Yes, we got that.
Yeah.
We got that paperwork.
Were these lots existing as they sit, or was it one lot?
There's one lot.
So you've made two lots out of it and took it out of 61A.
Would you ask for it?
Yeah, there's 1.46 acres, 1.54 acres. We've got,
162.
yeah, 161.2 over there. So it meets. Locus.
Did you already pay Kathy money, or?
I haven't paid anyone.
Oh, okay.
I have a check.
Yeah, that would be good. Or,
250.
okay. Yeah, to the town, Granby.
You guys don't get any of it?
Pardon?
You guys don't get any of it?
No.
Take a look at that note up under where we signed.
Planning board endorses under the subdivision control law should not be construed as either an endorsement or an approval of the zoning requirements.
It doesn't say anything about a buildable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they gotta get stamped.
Okay.
So you wanna start off signing these?
There's a pen over here on this one.
Over on that table.
Big table over here. For a memo in there, no?
What's that?
You want something for a memo?
There is nothing on the memo?
Do you want to put it on, or you're, okay. You have the
We'll
correct
take it
number
anyway.
of copies there?
Pardon me?
I'm just asking Jim, you got the correct number of copies there?
And this one? Or the one Bob's got over there?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
2 Mylars and 4 paper.
okay.
The correct amount. Probably one of those kids
It
in
only
school
works
that
in
use
school.
that. Now they just say my computer crashed.
What?
The Sharpie.
Right there.
Is there someone here from Mountain Stream LLC? This looks like the Thompson's old house here.
Yeah. So what are we doing here?
We'll get into that
As soon as they're done?
yeah, so it is
Okay.
hearing the same thing once.
Sure.
I guess that's these two.
They got protest over here too.
Okay. That's right there.
Six months. One, two, three, four, five, six. It's where the high tension lines go through. Oh, Will, I didn't stamp any of those.
We're okay.
I just saw the note here.
Hey, Jim, you want to remind you? Staff should roll on. You need a pen? So the- Hey,
Hold on.
just in time. Pardon?
Did you get my email? I just had it go over.
I got the one that you sent, thank you, where I sent you the details there, but you
No,
sent me one today?
No, this is probably about 4 o'clock I sent it.
Let me see if you went into my junk email again.
That's why I just go on your spam account. Back in your spam. Oh, jeez.
I don't think it makes a difference.
Ah, no, you didn't. See? Okay, you're here.
Good. Yourself.
And there's some things to make. We're waiting for you to go through this, make a motion. That's what the motion, we already approved the invoices. Remember that?
Yeah, that's the email you sent us.
Yeah, and I confirmed everything. We didn't do the motion the second ones because you weren't here. We did do the June ones. And that's at the very end. These are, did you look at that? These are the invoices. I think this is what I sent you.
Yeah, yeah,
These are the
sorry.
invoices on you, so you can sign them. We need another.
No, those two
I have them,
copies,
I have
they-
both copies here. Yep.
They go with us.
We're all set?
Oh, wait a minute.
What?
You already have two copies?
I have the two copies of the application. That goes with that one. I have his here along with the check.
Oh, that goes with that one, I see.
Yes.
Okay.
You are free to go.
You want to stay
Thank you, Red.
Thank you. Well, I would. Yeah. Thank you.
We need to vote on it, yeah. But it's 6 o'clock, so that
It's just
was,
an FYI for us.
yeah. You have it there somewhere.
You can use one.
Oh, we need the motion.
I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
Hang on. You don't want to finish the A&Rs first?
Okay. We'll be a little late with the public hearing.
That's fine.
Okay.
No, wait, they're not, yeah.
Okay.
What you take over? Mountain Stream LLC, you want to come up and show us what you're doing, please?
So you had 3 lots off of Bachelor and 3 off of Hampton Street, with 2 of them going to be estate lots next to each other. This one I think is a true estate lot, but this one has frontage on Bachelor too. It's just hard to get up there, so this is an easier driveway.
So we're looking at one lot here, 2.44 acres.
That goes beyond the lake to the other side.
Lot 2, 3.28 acres with 40 feet of frontage and 3.28 acres. Lot 3, 9.44 acres, 40 feet of frontage and 308, is that right? 308 feet of frontage on Bachelor. Lot 4, 10 acres with a little over like 406.
So this line here, dead center.
These are easements. And then lot 5, 2.6 acres, 250 feet of frontage. 2.6 acres, and then lot 6, 6.52 acres with 410?
Yeah.
410
So how
feet of
does
frontage.
this one, and this one come in from Bachelor?
Yep.
Yeah.
Bachelor.
Driveway here, driveway about here. And then this one, they say that you can use this gravel area to access the home site from the power lines.
And the others come in from the side.
Yep.
And you said this property comes back over here too?
Just
Just in
over
here?
here.
The other side of town?
And this is all frontage.
This one doesn't need to be stamped. No determinations were made.
Yep.
Just need to start signing.
The public ways. The public ways.
Yes. Bachelor Street, intersection of Bachelor and Amherst Street.
And you've already paid?
And are there any physical impediments to access?
Don't know if there is. Again, the caveat is we're agreeing that it's an A and R. It's, you know,
Mhm.
approved. And that we're not saying they're buildable, we're not saying they perk, we're not saying there's access to them. That's determined by the building department.
Mhm. It is a concern for an A&R to make sure that there is adequate access to the lots.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily, because you can subdivide a piece of property. There's plenty of property in town that may have waterfront or wetlands frontage. It could be used as a woodlot, it could be used
Sure.
for whatever, it's just not buildable. And
I mean, on
we
paper,
determine
they
that.
look
What's that?
On paper, they look fine.
Yeah, we're not saying that, they may not perk. There may not be accessibility, that's not what we're here to determine.
And you paid Kathy on it? I can see there's a copy.
I believe I did, that's why I'm here, to see if
Okay. 750,
Yep, 6 times.
125.
Yep.
And then the forms, oh, yeah.
Any questions? Is that it?
I think we're good to go.
Sign it again.
Piece of pie.
Yeah. What's that? Yeah, I'm saying this. Room for one.
Is that one short that I have to have the note on it? Or it's this one here? Oh, that's,
Short one,
Granby, BG. That goes with this pile here.
There's no more.
Uh-oh.
Right on top
I
of,
don't know where it went. Lost your agenda?
no, I got that.
Oh,
Mullins.
Down in this building.
they were supposedly contacted, but not until late. I wasn't here till about 2:30ish. And I called Kathy and she was gonna,
Lil, in the past, who's signed this?
I don't know if anybody ever signed them.
It should be the chair, I think.
I would, although when the chair,
It should be myself or another.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
to say,
Is that one more?
right, but then we'll keep it with
it stays with
the minutes of that.
the,
I'll
stays
make
with
sure
the whole
there's a-
package.
Yeah. The whole package, yeah. I think I have to check the music going on.
Welcome back. Time off?
Is any of that land in chapter 61 or 61A?
Pardon?
Is any of that land in chapter 61 or 61A?
Previously, prior.
It still doesn't make any difference to us.
Whoever had it.
No, it's the registry of deeds and the board of assessors that, that's why they get a copy of it. When they get it, they determine that it's gotta come out. Or first right of refusal.
Is that Francis's line?
She's got it.
Yeah, it's got a lot of land over that one.
Can you check? Not sticky in here.
Let's stick it out.
There's a big, what about here?
And also, please. Minutes. What's that? I was just gonna make a motion to approve the Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the May 22nd, 2019 minutes.
I'll second the motion.
Okay,
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Is anybody opposed?
Perfect. That's all.
Just one more, just-
Interesting.
okay, we got that out of the way.
I'll make a motion to close the meeting, to open the public hearing. Meeting will reconvene at the,
Answer the public hearing.
at the end of the public hearing. I don't want to say close it, the public hearing, in
That's
case it
right.
doesn't.
Right.
Is there a second?
Second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Did you find the rubber band?
I found one in the box, I just wondered that it went there already.
Bones.
It's now 6:13 and we're public hearing.
They're hiding over there.
Consider application of Granby DG Series LLC, 3083 Orchard Hill Park Drive, Leominster, Mass. 01453. For the site plan approval as required in the following sections of the Granby zoning bylaw. Section 3.0, Table 1, Schedule of Use Regulations. Section 6.3, Site Plan Approval. The applicant proposes to construct a 7,489 square foot retail store on a 3.62 acre parcel, which is created from a 6.13 acre parcel. The property is zoned general business GB, where retail stores are allowed by right with site plan approval by the planning board. The property is located on the south side of West 8th Street, Route 202, adjacent to C&G Machine Tool Company, and is identified as Assessor's Parcel ID Map 3, Block G, Parcel 11. The property is owned by Omar A. Gingras, 17 Strong Farm Lane, South Hadley, Mass. Okay.
Good evening. For the record, Matt Mason with Bull Engineering, Chattanooga, the applicant. We just give a quick overview of the process. Been here since March. Basically, we met first on March 25th. We had a peer review process with Ty Bond. We responded to them. On May 22nd, we came with Ty Bond and due the report. We pretty much worked out all the items and we wanted to have them write kind of a final summary of their review and any conditions they would suggest. We got a letter from them on May 30th suggesting some conditions on one providing a copy of Mass DOT approval, which obviously we don't have a problem with. One, that the truck movement needs to bring fire department requirements, which again, we spoke to the chief and we're confident that he's okay. I don't know if the planning board's reached out with it as well, but.
We have his response.
They would provide a copy of the SWIP, which obviously we don't mind doing. We have to file that with the EPA, part of that process anyways. And then we allow space for a sidewalk down the side of the driveway. Between the 22nd and tonight, we did work with Mass DOT. One of their requirements was a request that we provide a sidewalk along the product frontage. We kind of resisted that for the same reason we kind of suggested to the board, which is a sidewalk to nowhere. So something we typically try to avoid, but that said, you have to meet Mass DOT requirements. So we did provide a sidewalk along the frontage and along with that product connection from our building along the side of the driveway down to that sidewalk. So that condition is going to be built.
That's not gonna be where DOT is gonna be digging?
I'm sorry?
The sidewalk isn't gonna be in the way of the widening of the road down there?
No, we have those at least those preliminary plans, and we've overlaid those under a setback of 4 or 5 feet from the existing edge of pavement. So I know they're planning on curving in the sidewalk, which would go right along that curving. But for this standpoint, they want us to build it in this manner. So I don't know if that's what we do, and maybe their project is built kind of our sidewalk, but instead. That would be unfortunate, though, it's even for our sidewalk, and build a new one.
Yeah.
It'll be the first time.
It happens.
I think he's got it right there.
There have been no real changes to the plan system, as we kind of said on the 22nd, except for Mass DOT, particularly the comments we did send something to Bill on the board. The way the plans are dated June, kind of basically that just involves
Do you have the curb cut permit yet from DOT?
They typically won't issue until we have local approvals. I mean, we have their kind of verbal approval that we're okay to go, but we built this that long, and we expect that we'll get it shortly.
So
Any questions from the board?
who are we waiting, what local boards are we waiting to hear
We
from?
only heard from
Fire and highway?
Fire and Highway, so Conservation and Board of Health, which, but they're not past their 30 days yet. It's not until the beginning of July that there's 30 days since they had the plans.
So with conservation, there are no wetlands on the site. So obviously, they would need to, like the one Board of Health, we did go out and do soil testing to take bond to be here. So DC gave us is okay on this. We have to get a Board of Health permit for a septic permit as well, which
Okay, and we have to have his response in writing to cover us.
They're meeting, actually, I think both boards are meeting tomorrow night.
Conservation and Board of
I know Board of Health is meeting tomorrow night.
And Conservation usually meets tomorrow night.
So you may want to give a call and see if they could just throw a quick letter together.
sure. So does the board want to wait for the response before it acts on this? I mean, we certainly need not look at addition that if there are any comments from conservation, Board of Health, which we don't think they will, we would need those.
I think it would be on the board's best behalf to wait until those comments have been received, because we only have 4 members that can vote on this. While you were speaking, Lil just said that, if I heard you correctly, that you want to see those.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, I mean, we'll do whatever the board needs to do. I know we submitted way back in March, so just for my wife's sake, I'd hopefully like to wrap things up tonight, but the board can't do something, makes me understand what we'd like to. I know there was like a 30-day time period on this.
As respect to Will, I'll agree to push it out until we get the others, but it's still not necessary. This isn't a special permit, it's allowed. The Board of Health has no bearing other than the septic system. The Granby Fire Department's comments here, this is from the Chief John Bishop. This letter is regarding the proposed commercial property located on West State Street. I was asked to review the plan specifically to the access of the property for the fire apparatus and vehicles. Access into and around the lot appear to be within the limits required for the fire apparatus. One requirement of access for fire apparatus is ensuring 360-degree accessibility based on a maximum of 150 feet distance from the location of a fire apparatus. Based on calculations of the distances taken from the provided plans, the accessibility appears to be acceptable. I would recommend, but not require, at this time, the placement of fire lanes in front of the building at the front door to allow for maximum potential to gain entry, perform fire rescue and operations in the event of an emergency.
what does that do to parking?
You can't. It doesn't apply to this situation.
Okay.
You know, when you do something like that, you want to provide handicapped access,
Mm-hmm.
and basically fire lanes. You'll see those at malls and strip malls and that sort of thing. This site and this building, in my opinion, doesn't allow it.
Can you
It's
show
not
that on the
conducive.
plan there? Right, I think that's why the chief said it's not going to require.
Right.
If possible.
It's one of those nice to have, but at the same time, why create more impervious
Right.
pavement if you don't need to?
Maybe so the camera can see it.
Someone's got to what Mr. Trump said is in like a larger development, so
Yeah.
a grocery store, things like that, usually we have the parking offset from the building entrance, there'd be a fire lane along the building, say the park, there's a lot of traffic that goes through that type of development, so we can kind of fall to that. In this case, this is more like a minimal development. We're trying to get these spaces right along the building in the drive here. So there is a space for apparatus to park here, cars to get around on either side, but a fire local accessibility.
Yep.
I have a question on your A&R that you have in. You've got that little bump on the top there.
This
That,
here?
that's residential.
Here? Yep.
That little, which one?
Residential from here back.
So you've got that little line that bumps up.
This here?
I'm just wondering why you want to add it in. Your property goes to where?
Oops.
The other side.
So our proposed property, our proposed A&R lot would look this boundary here.
Yeah,
Our project one proposes really to construct it here.
yeah.
The reason we've taken this area back here is just in case we need to meet the public water supply law requirements. They're very stringent as far as providing a 100-foot radius of nothing, no pavement, no lawn, no anything.
Right.
Has to be all natural, so there's actually a pretty good chance we won't end up going for a public water supply law, but in the case that we do, we want to have that area available so we can meet those.
Yeah.
Okay, but on the other side, it's showing it bumping up as opposed to straight across. That's
No,
I'm
what
just
you're seeing,
curious.
I think what you're seeing, well, if you turn that around, please, Matt.
That bump up is the water supply. Talking about this bump over here.
Yes.
That's not a property line.
Yeah, that's that tree line.
Oh, that's a tree line. Okay. So your A&R is for, because some of it is in residential
Correct.
and you want it to be in general business?
All of our product is in the general business, is a part of the lot that's in the residential. We're not really parking, paving, buildings.
And your property goes back farther?
Back from here goes back, another,
Reference where that bump out is for, please.
that bump out is right about here. So it goes back another about
Oh,
250 feet this way. We're not doing anything back there, but we just have it in case.
but that's part of what you're,
Proposing to create as part of the lot, but
Okay.
no work is proposed.
so you just want it all to be general business?
No, we're not proposing any zoning changes. All our work is going to be in here. This is more just for potential law requirements, so we're not doing any work in the residential.
Okay, so I'm missing something.
Yeah, I think you are.
The back part of the property is gonna stay residential. They're not using it for general business. They're not doing anything.
But if
there.
one piece is residential and one piece is general business, can you merge the two?
not-
They're already merged.
They're already merged.
It's an overlay. They're-
It's one
So-
plot, it's one piece of land, and it happens to bleed over into residential.
So why do we need an A&R?
Because they're subdividing
The sidewalk.
from the other Mr. Gingras lot.
Correct, yeah, the existing lots are, this is one lot here, and then the rest of this is the second lot. We want to give this whole big piece here to Mr. Gringus and just take the 3.6 acre piece.
Okay, it's starting to become clear, yes.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay, so the residential really doesn't play into it or anything?
No, they're not using it for anything
Okay.
at all.
Okay.
Does the board have any other questions?
Can I just ask for some clarification on the timing, because, as Matt had mentioned, we submitted our application back in February, and my understanding was there was a certain period of time before the planning department had to give plans to all the other departments. I know we've been through several meetings, comments from Time Bond, and as of the last meeting, they had just, after over 90 days, had just been submitted to the other departments. And you had just said the end of July.
No, the beginning of July.
Okay.
By our next meeting in July, they should have given us anything
I
or,
know, and the other comment was at the last meeting, the board was gonna reach out to the fire department, which was done.
I did.
And now the direction is, I guess, is to reach out to the health department. Are we supposed to be the ones reaching out, or is it the board, the planning department reaching out?
We've already reached out to them, so basically, I'm not in total agreement with this. They should have been reached out to prior to, and for some reason, it didn't happen. So their 30 days is getting bumped out, which will end.
well, it was June, the day after our last meeting, so the 5th
June
is
4th.
when they got the
So they've
plans.
got until the 5th of July to get back to us. And if we don't hear anything from them, then we proceed.
Yeah.
If we do hear something,
And we may not hear anything. But
Which is next week.
Just our time, I know at the last meeting, there was a conversation, Mr. Corvo, with this meeting, just from our side, from our construction, we have the approval, then we have the appeal period, we have to get bids, and now we start getting the winter conditions, so review now, start to have an impact on us, so,
understood.
We are amenable to, very confident of conservation issues on the lot, and then the Board of Health, we've already worked with them, so we would be amenable to a condition that we satisfy any comments that they have.
It could be voted on tonight with those two conditions. I mean, I don't know where the Board of Health is going to come into play on this.
And that is something that feels significant, which I don't think would be happy to come back.
there's a question of, on our May 22nd meeting, we sent a memo to Steve Nally to put in escrow the $9,900 for the peer review. The peer review was $9,000. So we have $900 left. The question is, does our capital consulting? Or do we need more?
See, that's the problem. We won't know that until we get invoiced. We don't get invoiced until after the fact.
Until after tonight. Because tonight's,
No, because if we don't vote tonight, then it will be after a decision is made. And then he's going to do the work to write the decision.
that's true.
So a vote could be taken tonight on conditions that there's no changes from the Board of Health, and that if Pioneer Valley's invoice comes in over the $900, you'll be obligated to pay the difference.
yeah, if there's a, amount, we provide a check 3 times the last time based on the budget, based on the request.
And then, or any stipulations from conservation as well, if we want to go down that road.
Yeah, either way.
Do we have any questions from the board this time? No. Is there any questions from the public at this time?
No.
No? Is there a motion to close the public?
Well, we gotta,
I'm afraid to.
Okay. Well, I can see it. Well,
we need to continue.
well,
Are you
I think we-
comfortable?
well,
We'll
I think-
continue.
well,
Are you comfortable with
No.
Jim?
Or do you want,
I wanna,
want
I wanna see those. If
information
those,
from them?
my only thing with those, sorry, my only thing with conditionally approving it based on me getting responses, if we have any questions, we don't have the opportunity to ask the questions, because everything's done already.
No. Because
They're
it's
gonna come
conditional.
back?
They have to come back. That's why I tried explaining to you before. If the Board of Health changes something on the plan, or even if the Department of Transportation, Mass DOT changes something, they have to come back. It's all regulated through them and through, they won't be issued a permit. When you write the decision with those conditions, the building inspector has to go through before the permit's issued and make sure the conditions are met. So if they don't have a rubber stamp from any of the departments, well, not from any of the departments, but from Conservation or Board of Health, he looks at it and says, you gotta go back to, or there's changes, you gotta go back to planning. It's hard to put, unless we were all sitting in the same room, like when we do joint hearings with the Zoning Board of Appeals,
Yeah.
you can't get out. Something has to kick off and initiate final plans. Otherwise, if we didn't approve, Conservation could say, we're not looking at anything until Planning Board approves it. Just like DOT won't issue them a curb cut until we approve it. It's got to start somewhere. And when it gets to a certain point where something's not right, it has to reverse, it has to go back.
So if we approve it tonight with the
Condition.
conditions, that we get all these things in. They still can't get anything until we would have normally got things in here. They still can't do anything, so why not wait?
Because they may not get approval until they see it, until Conservation, DOT, or Board of Health sees this from us, an approval.
Not if we've asked them. We've asked them for their opinion.
We've asked them for their opinion.
Right. And they have 30 days. If they don't answer within 30 days, then, you know, tough luck for them. We assume they approve it without any questions.
Okay.
That'll make it cleaner. Nobody has to follow up on anything.
But we do need those departments sign off for our building inspection, building permit as well, so it's not like if they did have an issue, even if we tried to circumvent them, so we would, but they would be able to get a sign off on the planning board, so we recommend it.
It's kind of like signing off on an A&R.
Mhm.
That doesn't guarantee them they can build on it. They've got to go through the process. They've got to get input from Conservation, Board of Health, you know, so on and so forth.
And just from a timeline standpoint, how it impacts us is, I don't know the exact appeal period, but I'm guessing there's an appeal period once it's approved.
After the decision?
After the decision. So it starts that clock. We typically don't order our plans until the appeal period is expired. You know, so it's just if the approval's pushed back, and then next week's 4th of July, so something things that happen next week, it gets pushed back into July, and it pushes us out another 2-3 weeks. So that we have an appeal in August.
They appeal period, so now you're out. You're basically out.
End of July.
Or then some.
So, say if we did approve it,
And keep in mind, this has been delayed because this was our fault, not theirs.
Hmm.
That the information didn't get to the other boards in time, and they're being penalized for it.
But what I don't want to see happen is because only 4 members can vote on this.
It's not a supermajority.
I could say no and it would still go.
yeah.
Oh, it's not a supermajority.
It's a
I thought it
majority.
was. Oh, okay.
So,
A couple members had missed meetings. Glenn, did you get a chance to watch the
I
previous?
did, yeah,
Okay.
and I filled
So
out
then
the
you
form
can
and sent it to.
You missed 2
Kathy.
meetings, so you won't be able to vote.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jim filled out his. Glenn needs to fill out his.
I did, I
His
sent it to
forms.
Kathy.
Oh, you got
So you have 4 voting members.
Kathy, yeah.
You need three votes.
I never get a chance to stop by when they're open, so I just put it in the mail to her.
Okay.
So, say if we vote tonight and we have conditions on that from Conservation and from Board of Health, they both still have till July 4th anyways, regardless.
We may not respond from
Right.
period. And because of that, we hold them up to go file for a curb cut permit with DOT. They could do that tomorrow. And the reason why I'm pushing this is because we're trying to grow economic development in this town, and we've got to oil the gears a little bit and be a little bit more conducive to applicants and speed up the process. This is a long time. We've got enough struggles in this town without having infrastructure that when we get an applicant that's willing to come to town to help our tax base, we need to help move the process along.
So, but what I'm saying is, so if we vote on it tonight with conditions, and unless they hear from, or we hear from the Board of Health or Conservation before July 4th, or what is it, July 4th, July 5th?
July 5th.
They still have to wait to that point before anything can happen. They still can't go any further, right?
No, they can start with their curb cut. The state, that's a process in itself.
It was like the appeal periods and things like that.
Well, I guess my question is, so if, back to what you're saying, just so I understand. So if we issue them the permit, but then Conservation comes back, says, well, wait a second, we have a question, blah, 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 blah. They have to come back to us.
Only if there's a change on the plan.
Right, so just say that does happen. How does that affect their permit at that time? They have to stop whatever they're doing?
I think it would depend.
They wouldn't have a permit. They wouldn't have a building permit.
That's what I'm asking. So if we approve it tonight with conditions, how does that speed up the process for them? That's my question.
Because they can apply for the curb cut. They don't have, They don't have, they need this for
Okay,
the
so
curb.
they can start applying for everything. Okay.
And the 20-day appeal period.
The appeal period starts today. And based on the work we've done with Board of Health, with conservation, on work with that,
Okay.
is done, we're comfortable that there won't be any issues. If there are, we're happy to come back and address those. We're happy to come back regardless of address them kind of outside of the public hearing. But, we started that 30-day appeal period, which, would expire July 24th versus, say August 15th.
August.
Well, the appeal period of the site plan?
Planning board decision.
Right, so that would begin when the decision is filed with the town clerk. So that decision hasn't been written yet. So you would have to vote on that at the next meeting. And then you'd file it with the town clerk to start the appeal period. It's a 20-day appeal period.
So again, that necessitates the urgency on their behalf to make a decision tonight. Because if we wait until the end of July, we make a decision. Next time we meet,
We should be able to make the decision at our next meeting, because that's past the time that the 30 days would have been.
But we're
then the
holding them
decision
out
still needs to be
another
written.
2
So
weeks.
I guess from what I'm understanding right now is that if we vote on it tonight with the conditions, the decision would be written. We'd vote and sign a decision at our next meeting. By that next meeting, that the July 5th date is already done. That's already gone by. So actually, technically at our next meeting, we'd know if Conservation or the Board of Health had any questions or input at that point before we actually signed the decision. So at that time, I guess technically we could hold off on signing the decision.
Or you could have 2 versions of a decision ready.
I don't like having decisions written before we vote, that's all. I'd rather us vote,
Okay.
then the decision is written, and we go that way. So I'm just thinking that way, that's the way we do it. Everything's kind of be done when it comes up time for us to sign a decision. The time, either they're gonna have heard from the Board of Health or Conservation, or the time frame would have expired by then.
I have another question. Bill, you had asked before about getting a copy of the DOT's plan. On
So,
this.
right, as you know, this is my last week, so I could write the decision this week. So you'd have it for the meeting on the 8th, at which point a new representative will be available from PVPC to attend the meeting and modify the decision as you might require.
But the question I had is, you asked about getting a copy of the DOT's plan.
We sent that to Bill, we sent it to Jean, we asked to send it to Jean as part of her review, just so that she could see it. So
Okay. Can you share that with the rest of us?
I can forward that around.
What was that?
I think it's like, so DOT has a 25% plan that they've actually.
I think I did send that out.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's kind of a moot point, because
Right.
no matter what DOT says, they supersede anything we would want. If we wanted a 20-foot curb cut, and they wanted a 10, or vice versa,
I'm just
it's
thinking
outside,
of
it's outside our site plan purview because it's state.
So that's just the property.
please finish your statement.
I was just trying to think of the things that we had asked for before to make sure that we had them.
I think we got everything we wanted. I can't think of anything that we're not missing, except we talked about the Board of Health and Conservation. We have-
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
So we have further discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Is anybody opposed?
I'm sorry, you're getting ahead of me.
Okay, sorry.
Aye. At the closing.
All right. Is anybody opposed? No. Okay. Do you want to, be glad to entertain motions to approve the permit with conditions as we discussed?
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan as presented with two conditions. One, if the Board of Health has any issue that affects the site plan. And two, if Conservation takes any issue with the site plan.
And if I might suggest a couple of locations, just because Jean had suggested them in her letters, that a copy of the Mass DOT approval be provided, and then we provide a copy of the SWIP to the town when we got that with PDA.
That was in Jean Christie's.
Yep.
Should we consider another
Condition?
in that condition, in that an as-built? Kind of like what we were talking about with a, go ahead.
At the completion of the project, that's in our bylaws. They have to provide us with an as-built, electronic as-built, or a...
But who does it? Outside firm? An alternate firm?
No, they do it.
Okay.
The applicant is responsible
Okay.
for providing. And that's in our bylaws, so that's a check mark before they get their occupancy permit.
Okay.
That's the way it's...
That it was constructed as according to plan. Okay.
It's just, it's, I'll leave it at that for now.
Okay.
Where was we had discussion about the monies, because this might put them over the amount that they've submitted already.
Well, I think in the bylaws, it says that the applicant is responsible for any fees incurred by the town through consulting
Okay,
It's
fees.
in there, but, so if we don't have enough money, then we'll bill them.
right, okay.
So that's my motion.
I'll
There was
second.
another condition that was floated out about the peer review fee. Did you want to include that?
Peer review what?
The peer review fee, if the $900 wasn't adequate?
That's what we just said.
Okay, okay.
Do you want to make that part of the condition, it's part of the bylaw? You want to make that part of the,
It's part of the bylaw, we don't need to make
who
it.
makes, right, it's already
Right.
written, so, it's, it would be part of it. Do you want
I-
to state it?
I will second Jim's motion.
If DOT had any other changes, would that affect your decision? It sounds like there won't be any, but they don't have the permit yet, so
The thing is if DOT has any changes, these gentlemen are going to have to modify their plans accordingly. And again, hence have to come back.
Right,
Because we don't,
right, their permit's based on the plans they submitted, so if the plans are changed, then they'll have to come back.
especially since I believe you said that we're dealing, not we, you're dealing with a 25% done plan, completed plan by DOT, and this has to be where they're going to reconstruct in front of this area at least 3 years out.
Yeah, they're not going to hold us up on that date. That's the sidewalk and using that plan as their justification.
Okay.
But they've accepted our proposed layout work. with
Okay.
the future plan.
Yeah, it's been pushed back.
It'll be-
to at least 2023.
For completion of the entire,
Yeah, it's just yeah.
or just the first phase?
No, the first phase is supposed to start sometime 2020.
Okay.
But the second phase, they pushed it back to 2023.
Oh,
So, we're
Okay.
delaying it. So, can you read back what the motion was?
Motion
Somebody
made
seconded
by
it.
Jim Trompe to approve the site plan as presented with two conditions. Number one, if the Board of Health has any issues that affects the site plan. Number two, if Conservation takes any issue with the site plan.
as well as the SWIP being presented.
SWPP?
SWPPP.
No, I'm sorry.
SWPPP is stormwater pollution.
Oh, missing one. Okay.
And that's to be submitted after final approval of building permit, isn't that correct?
The SWIP is usually submitted to the EPA before we can dig out there, so typically we would submit it right around the same time that they submit for their building permit. We can have it in before the building permit.
Okay.
So what do you want to say?
Well, it just has to get to us,
Submitted,
correct.
okay.
And then there was another one with a,
Yeah, you had a second.
And then a copy of the DOT approval.
right,
Alright,
copy of the
we've changed it
Mass
up a little
Department
bit.
of
So that's not actually Jim's,
Transportation.
that's not Jim's motion at this point.
We'll read it back.
Yeah, so we'll need another motion.
Oh, wait,
'Cause it's
okay, so we're
changed.
not, so the SWPPP is not part of your motion either?
So I'm making it part of the motion. That and the DOT curb cut plan.
Is that what you were talking about? DOT curb cut plan
Approval.
approval?
And I second that.
Okay.
Well,
Okay,
that's my amended.
Right.
Okay, so it's motion made by Jim to approve the site plan as presented with now 4 conditions. 1, if the Board of Health has any issue that affects the site plan. 2, if Conservation takes any issue with the site plan. 3, the SWPPP to be submitted to the Planning Board. And 4, DOT curb cut approval.
Submitted to the planning board.
Submitted to the Planning Board.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is anybody opposed? One
Me.
opposed.
Abstentions?
Yeah. One abstention.
That's it.
That's it?
Thank you. And I guess while we're here, we had submitted an A&R Mylar plan for the subdivision. I don't know if you have that here in your record.
The one that's missing one?
Yeah, that one's missing one
One Mylar.
Mylar. There's only one Mylar there, I believe. So you're missing one.
You need 2 Mylars?
Yes.
Okay, we'll send it in as a Mylar.
Yeah.
We sign it.
So we'll deal with that at the next meeting.
Yeah, we could have the full set of Mylars.
Well, we can still sign them. As long as there's one set of, one Mylar and 4 copies for us, the rest is their problem.
But they still have to come back with their Mylar to have it signed, correct, so it could be recorded at the Registry of Deeds.
You want to come back for one copied signature, or you want us to look at it tonight?
Could you, yeah, unless you could sign the Mylar for us tonight, and then we could send it out a Mylar for your records at the next one, but that's,
You guys are pushing it.
I know.
I don't know.
No, I'd rather, we're gonna keep the
Yeah.
Mylars, so, yeah.
Okay, no problem.
So we're waiting?
We'll wait. I mean, it's just, we have to sign on the Mylar anyway, so they can have it, so we might as well just wait till they're all in front of us.
Do you have authorization of one person to sign a Mylar for recording or whatnot? Some towns
I
would,
don't believe
We
we do.
don't.
I've never heard that.
no, so all
Unless it's set
board.
up differently, the registry of deeds needs to see at least 3 signatures.
But you can also notify them that one person can sign on the board's behalf. But if you haven't done that, then,
Yeah.
okay.
Then it makes the rest of us even more relevant, right?
Yeah.
One point of clarification on the comments from the Conservation Commission and the Board of Health. Do you want us to reach out and get a letter from them and provide it to you? Do you want to, if we don't hear anything?
They have till July 5th. and
I would follow up if I were you.
If you wish to contact them, feel free to do so. Like I said, because as far as we're concerned, July 5th, that's the time, this time's done. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good luck.
Reconvene the meeting.
We'll open that meeting or just-
Well, I said it when we closed, to reconvene.
All right,
So I'm
well,
just
where
going
are
to
we?
say the public hearing closed at 6:53.
Give Willie time to catch up.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Take care.
Do we want to see what Mike is here for?
We might as well, he's been sitting here patiently.
Oh, yes. Hi, I'm Bob Donovich. Nice to meet you guys. I have a question. It's not
I want to be better prepared for you guys when I come back into this. I'm interested in starting a cannabis farm in my property, small one. We're willing to give a 5% boost to the town. We always give it 3, we want to give 5 as this.
Can you speak up, Mike?
I said we want to give a 5% boost to the town on net sales that we do. We're looking to start and build 2 new greenhouses.
Where's this?
At 284 R State Street in Granby, Mass.
It's not allowed.
Hmm?
It's not allowed.
It's not going to be allowed.
It can only be in
Well, when they
industrial.
have zone, there's a couple issues when I looked at their maps. They have a zone for their school and the church. The state's.
That's not the-
That's retail. That's retail.
And we're looking at grow.
Right.
Yeah.
Growing operations have to be in a secured facility. These are state bylaws.
Correct. I'm actually going to
And our local bylaws require that it's only allowed either in the industrial or the business park zones,
Okay.
which is New Ludlow Road, south side of New Ludlow Road. And I believe it's the industrial park.
Mhm.
We did.
And so I don't think you consider a map, you guys. You've never considered micro business for your home.
We couldn't.
Right.
And I don't even know if the zoning board of appeals could do that.
I'm going to go to this, I'll be meeting the state tomorrow, the commission up there in Boston, or how, what the regulations are. I'm looking to work, but I mean, I guess I have to look at industrial land then, right? All right, thank you.
Take care, Mike.
Thank you.
You got it.
What's next on our agenda? Well, before we get that far, I want to thank Bill
Oh, thank you.
for the past several months. Definitely been a help to the board. You'll be
It's
missed.
been a good board to work with.
Yeah.
You do a good job.
Thank you, Bill.
Yes.
Can you put that in writing for us? No, we're gonna move on to someone new. So we've had a little transition this past couple of years with different people. So
Yep.
it was nice having you aboard, if you will. What's next on the agenda, folks?
Well, we got
I
reorganization.
know I missed part of
Oh,
it,
yeah.
so. All right. So, if, does anybody wish to be chair? Or is there any nominations for chair? At this time?
I'll nominate Glenn Sexton.
It's awfully kind of you, sir. Is there a second to? That was a quick second. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Is anybody opposed? All right, is there a nomination for vice chair?
Nominate Jim Tromke.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, nomination for treasurer.
I'll nominate Rob Chauvin.
Yeah,
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Rob?
Good.
All right, and last but not least, secretary. Nomination for secretary.
Nominate Lil.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is anybody opposed?
We have one more, the PVPC rep.
I'll nominate Lil.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is anybody opposed?
We're done.
Congratulations.
Thank you, again.
You've done such a fine job.
I think you're the only rep that goes to the meetings. Well, that have been on this board in the past.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ah,
Absolutely,
okay.
yeah.
Well, it's nice to learn new things and see how the other towns are doing. Solar
Should we go
moratorium?
through, what's that?
Solar moratorium, are we going to at least,
Well, before we move on to that, there's the contract agreement with the planning board with the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission in the town of Granby. So I don't know if people have seen this yet. It's what we do every year. It's up
Yep.
for renewal. This is-
That's the addendum
That's the addendum? Oh,
Yeah.
For the fee, yeah.
for the
How much we over by?
overage.
So we should be coming a new one too, though, for,
Yeah, probably at the
1st, right?
next meeting.
yeah. Which, so it's gonna be, just kind of read it off so everybody knows.
Well, just to, we kind of went over this, and then
We did?
we held on it until
Okay.
we were here to
All right.
vote. And I'll just-
Because you're signing.
I'll summarize it.
So I
for you.
can't talk about it now?
Just to summarize it, it's to cover the additional
This
costs.
one's money, right.
And some of those additional costs, even though Chris Martin accounts for, that we have enough to cover it, it won't all come out of our account because we have set asides from
Right.
the escrow accounts.
Right. Okay.
So because it had, we were gonna vote on it, but because it had your signature.
Let's see. So you voted for me to sign it, is that what you're telling me?
We don't have a motion yet.
Hmm?
We don't have a motion yet.
So I'll make a motion to approve the contract amendment number 1.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
On the solar moratorium, can we set a meeting, a day, a couple of whatever aside, and just work on that?
The solar? Well,
Unless you need something.
what I have here is a timeline. And I checked it with, because I kind of guessed that when a special town meeting would be, it'd be like, don't go and take so long. Oh, I need that last sheet back. That's the actual bylaw. And I cleared it with Kathy Kelly Regan as to the date of the special town meeting because you have to. And I had originally down October 15th or 14th, but that's Columbus Day. That's a Monday, so she said Tuesday would be okay. What I did when I started with this, I backed up. The solar moratorium is until January 31st. I backed up the 90 days that the Attorney General needs to review it. So that's the 28th.
So it's 90 days from when the Attorney General gets it,
From what?
when the Attorney General receives it?
Yes. Yeah. And so then we have the special town meeting and the difference there was just giving me or whomever time to get the final paperwork to the Attorney General. So the public hearing, Glenn, you said you wanted to do more than one public hearing. I checked today. Because we have such a tight timeline here, that
Well, I mean,
we could advertise both at the same time. So
Okay.
follow the same dates both at the same time, but we would have to add in
Why would we have 2 public hearings?
to catch people that couldn't make it.
right.
So you continue it. You have a public hearing, and if you don't get enough, it doesn't make sense to have 2 of them, when some of them nobody shows up to begin with. But if we have input and we haven't gotten through the whole agenda, we could just continue it to another day.
But I just thought it was something that the town voted on, and I thought it'd be good to have at least 2 meetings that, because some people can't make, say they can't make the 19th, but they can make the 2nd. I just want to make sure we get input.
And Jim, you were saying we don't have to advertise it as 2 meetings, we can,
That's what I was looking at.
but then,
August is a tough time.
Yeah, gotcha. Sorry.
so we can advertise both for the August 19th. We can advertise both dates, whatever they may be. I guessed at 9:23 following the sequence there. You may want to pick another one very close to that for the second one, a different day, that's all. And maybe even a different time, whatever we decide on. But there's time needed after that to get the paperwork together in the special format for the special town meeting. Now, if you look at this, we have to get everything to the select board by August 5th, so we have July.
So, just so we're clear though, too, these are all dates that we need to, technically don't have to meet these dates. The only thing that happens if we don't have everything in place by January 31st, 2020, the moratorium runs out. But it doesn't mean that we're not gonna continue doing what we're doing.
Then you need another solar moratorium.
No, we don't. We're changing our bylaw. It just means that those could go into place, whatever somebody may have at that time.
So you're saying we don't have to abide by really anything, any of the dates, just when we want to get the stuff together, then we get it in?
What I'm
I'm
saying is, what I'm
confused.
saying is, we have a moratorium in place, so we're putting stuff on hold for people, so they can't.
Right,
So, as far as with solar being put on hold,
right,
we're working on new bylaws.
right.
We can work on new bylaws without a moratorium in place.
We
That's what I'm
can.
saying. Right, so what I'm saying is that even for some reason, and I'm not saying, well, it's gonna happen, but I'm just saying that as far as moratorium, for some reason we don't get to the point, to have everything done before January 31st, it's still okay. It just means the moratorium is no longer in effect, but doesn't mean,
But if you haven't changed any bylaws, in other words, the moratorium, you let the moratorium just lapse and not done anything
I didn't
towards.
say not done anything, I didn't say that.
You're
I'm
not
just saying-
getting to anything to the Attorney General before the end of it. So that in effect says you're not doing anything, you're just saying, I can do it on my own timeline.
No, that's not saying, it's not
Okay,
saying that.
then explain it to me.
What I'm saying is that these are time frames, but if for some reason we miss a certain date or something like that, it's not like, okay, we missed it, I guess so,
Are you looking?
9/23, so if something didn't happen for 9/23, we didn't have, for some reason we didn't have both our public hearings on or something like that by that time. We still have,
Well, that is the
time.
actual date of the public hearing.
right, but we need.
And you need to advertise 4 weeks ahead.
So, okay, so I'll say, so 9/23, we get all the input, everything put together
From the planning board.
from the planning board to change the bylaws.
Yeah.
For some reason, we don't have everything ready for the special town meeting on the 15th. I'm just saying, these are what ifs, but, and that's all I'm saying. Doesn't mean that things come to a halt. We continue to work on things.
You
People have
can,
the
it's good.
think that you have to have everything done by January 31st. That's not true.
Well, you can, but, the special town meetings can't be just.
I understand that, but
special
some people
town.
are saying, they're thinking that, oh, you have to have everything done by January 31st, 2020.
We don't have to have everything. We have to have it done the end of October.
We
give
are
the
working,
Attorney General time to
we are
review.
working to meet the deadline of the moratorium. There's nothing saying, we're not obligated to meet the deadline of the moratorium. We are working to get to that.
I don't agree with that, but
Because the moratorium is controlling what is going on with the hold on solar in town.
correct.
It doesn't dictate us what timeframe what we need to work with. We need to accomplish that before the moratorium is up. I'm saying yes to that. But some people think, well, you have to be done. You have to be done before then.
Part of the Mass General Law that lists the steps is the Attorney General has to have 90 days. If you give it to the Attorney General on January 31st, they're not holding it up. We held it up, and then it just goes bye-bye.
What goes bye-bye?
The solar moratorium is gone, it's done, and nothing's changed, because we have to wait for the Attorney General, assuming we've gotten it to them.
Can I speak for a minute?
Mhm.
First of all, this schedule,
Yep.
I'm in agreement with it. I'm always, with a project management background, to start with
Right.
from the go, when you have to have it ready and work your way back.
Mhm.
Now, to Glenn's point is, if we go beyond getting approval, say, whatever time date is, if it exceeds, and we're waiting 95 days, it's in place prior to the Attorney General. The bylaws are in place prior to the Attorney General sending us back to nod. So if this gets approved on whenever, the clock starts ticking when it's approved by the town.
And so Glenn, you're saying that if we go past and it doesn't get approved by the town by September 31st or January 31st?
Or if it doesn't get approved by the town, then it's all.
Well, it doesn't even go to the town until January, after January 31st.
No, that's not what I was saying.
Okay, so that's.
That's
where
not what I was saying.
That's where I'm confused.
Right, because some people were saying that, and I say some people, that people said to me, well, you need everything done before January 31st, 2020. In reality, that's not true. We don't have to have everything done by January 31st, 2020.
But we should start.
Absolutely, I think, and that's
Yeah.
what you said, that is our goal, but to people make that statement, oh, you have to be done by then, that's not a true statement, to say that we have to be done by January 31st, 2020.
Okay.
Well, when is town meeting? When is the, what was the moratorium
Did you get
extended to?
a-
15.
Town
Did you
meeting is
get a
the
copy?
28th, oh, 15th, okay. So you have to have the public hearing closed and the recommendation to town meeting so that they can vote on the article.
I understand all
Right.
that, but it's not as,
So
okay,
if you don't, then you go back to the bylaw that's currently in effect. So the moratorium would expire.
the moratorium expires January 31st, 2020.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, there's no question about that,
So that's what the article said, it expires January 31st?
yes.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that some people made that statement, and that's not a fair statement. And I agree with Jimmy 100%, is that, and we were starting off with a schedule, and I want to make sure that we meet this schedule, and that's what we're going to try to do here, absolutely.
You
So
could
we
always have
basically
another
have the
special.
month of July to get something
Go.
started, done.
I mean, you could also have another special town meeting before January 31st then.
You can have them
If
anytime you want,
necessary.
you just have to, it's be scheduled, that's all.
Right.
But I think, yeah, so we need to, I
Well,
think-
when would we want to meet?
right, when we start about, what do we want to have in hand, what are we looking to do? I guess what I'm asking too, what is the board looking to accomplish with the changes to the bylaws?
If any, I think we should go by what we were asked to do, is to review the recommendations or the suggestions that the state kicked down and see which ones would or would not apply. Most of them are already under our purview because it's under special permit.
I'm sorry, can you start over? Look at what?
We've been asked to look at the state recommendations,
Okay.
which I believe we received that. Didn't Chris kick that down to us a while ago?
Yeah, that's,
So we've got that, we just need to review it and see which of those suggestions are applicable to the town, which ones we feel should be addressed, and bring them to a town hearing,
To the public hearing?
to a public hearing.
I mean, I think the whole bylaw is up for discussion at this point. You could limit yourself to just the state recommendations if you wanted to, but I don't think you have to.
Well,
There could be other things that the public would be interested in.
there could be, but my point is, it's under special permit.
Right.
So if that opens up the whole gamut, anything that we want to do specific to that applicant.
Mhm.
So that's kind of my point. Most of the recommendations are blanket, those are blanket bylaws, where under special permit, we have the flexibility to make adjustments based on each applicant to a degree.
Yeah, and that's what you're saying. I'm saying I don't think we have all that much power in special permits where we couldn't potentially put the town into a lawsuit because we're saying, for this one, we're giving this, for this one, we're not saying, you don't need that. And for this one, being different, you're not applying anything evenly to.
That's why it's a special permit, because each
Right.
situation is different.
Where, for an example, someone wants to put in a solar field that it's out in the middle of nowhere, for instance, and there's nothing really around there, there's no houses around it. Well, we may not require them to put up, like foliage or trees or bushes around that because no one can see it. Where if it's, it's close to other residential properties, we might be saying, well, we want buffers, which is a usual requirement. We have, the 4
Which we
foot
did
trees,
at
which we've
Red
done.
Rock.
So that's, right, so that's a condition that you put on one, that necessarily you wouldn't put on another.
Erosion control, each site's different. You know, the clear cutting, you may not want as much clear cutting due to erosion control as you would on another site. So all I'm saying is, the reason why, when we agreed, that the board agreed to do this, when we were,
We didn't agree, we had it dumped on us.
well, it was, they were pushing us to, as that was the caveat, or one of the prerequisites, I should say, to become a green community, was to allow it.
Oh,
So we
back
said-
then.
Back then, so we said, okay, that board at the time said, okay, we'll allow it, but it'll have to be under special permit, so we can have more oversight, rather than just allow it by site plan. Special permit allows you a little bit more flexibility.
So I guess, to the board, I guess I'd say some type of homework, if you will. And I'm thinking about kind of like the same thing we did when we did the marijuana bylaws. We kind of looked at what other surrounding cities and towns were doing as well. Not to say that we need to do what they're doing, but,
Yeah,
some of that
there's-
stuff might be there, might be information that would be good to us. But definitely, I
I
think,
also think you should give, the public an opportunity to come and
right.
present whatever
Well, that's,
suggestions
we're
they
gonna
might
have
have.
two public hearings, and I think that's important. And again, this isn't the planning board. The planning board is the vehicle, if you will, to change the bylaw, or make a change to the bylaw, if you will. But I think we're looking for the input from the public to say, this is the public, this is Granby, the residents of Granby, what are you looking for your town? This isn't what the planning board wants. I think each member of this planning board, as being a resident of Granby, has a say into a particular part. But again, I think as I look at us as the vehicle that's bringing the suggestions to change the bylaws to the town, if they wish to change it or not. But that's why I think it's important that we get as much input from the residents. That's what they want to do.
And that's what the purpose of the hearing is.
Right.
But prior to the hearing, we need to take the
Yes.
document that we were requested to review, that was handed down from the state, of suggestions. Let's review that first and see, and go from there.
Right.
And then we can take, at the hearing, then we can take additional feedback.
Right, absolutely.
Do you
We're on
want
a
to look
tight
at
schedule.
Yes.
other bylaws from other towns at the same time, or are you just focusing on the state for now?
I mean, I would say for each one of us, if we want to do homework and look at that, and if anything particular stands out to someone, and they want to bring it forward, I think that's fine. I mean, that's what as a board, that's what we can
Well,
do.
Bill, you could probably, or pass on to Ken, to look and see what the other towns have done and forward that to us. 'Cause
Oh,
you-
sure.
PVPC would know.
Yeah, I'm sure PVPC would be happy to work with you on those changes.
Yeah. And then.
They would have
then we
suggestions,
would know,
comments.
everybody would be looking at the same documents,
Mhm.
is what I'm getting at.
I know before, I think we did like the marijuana bylaws, I think Bob found some different towns that were doing were very, over information that we saw, that someone else did too. So,
All right, so our first meeting on, because I think we should have a separate,
A separate meeting.
a
Separate
separate
meeting
meeting,
set aside
a
just for that.
workshop just for this.
Mhm.
If you will. So
it's gonna be a public meeting anyways, but.
we need to be locked in. We need to have our stuff together.
By July 29th. And we should do a special one after that, not July 29th, 22nd.
Yeah, we have regular meetings set up for the 8th and
Our normal meetings are the 8th and the 22nd of July.
Bylaw package sent to the select board, 8/5,
Which is before our first meeting.
which is also before we have our hearings. They,
What packet's being sent to the select board?
That's to give them a chance to comment.
That's right. So we haven't had any meetings or any hearings. So the package sent to the select board needs to go after 9/23.
I don't think in the list of the, here's how you do it from the state, I think this is the way it falls.
But I think this is correct, the way it's written, is that you need to submit it to the selectmen first.
What do we send to the selectmen if we haven't had a public hearing?
Well, that, in case
You'd
they
have a
have other
draft.
output and input in it.
Tell them to show up at the public hearing.
Right.
This is
All right,
what
so
the master
this is-
law says.
All right. So that's August, so
So what about the 22nd? We have a regular scheduled meeting for the 22nd.
8th and the 22nd.
Well, the 8th, we're gonna have the decision for,
That's not going to take long to.
no, but that'll, you know, they'll just be on it. I mean, if we could we're gonna have the A&R come back as well. I mean, I'm just kind of looking if we can set aside some time. But if you want to do the 8th, we can do the 8th. I just don't want to turn it into a 3-4 hour meeting.
I think the earlier the better,
Okay.
even if we wanted to try to choose another night.
Well, I mean, if we have a meeting already scheduled for the 8th, we can do it the 8th, that's
Let's
fine.
go with the 8th and then,
But I just,
unless something, you know,
Okay.
typically this board is shut down for August or July. They usually pick them, and we haven't done that in several years.
well, I
So
can tell you, this has been my 5th year on this board. I don't think we've never done that.
I know, it's been a long time.
You can't say typically anymore. I know, in the past, they used to, yeah.
So anything that comes in, we can tell, unless it's urgent, you know, or
Push it
something that's
off.
going to take, we'll just push it off.
Okay, I'm
Does
okay with that.
Does the local paper do PSAs, public service announcements, at no cost? I'm thinking you might want to put a little notice in the paper saying on July 8th, the planning board will have an open meeting to discuss solar bylaw changes, just as a way to.
No, I think what we have to do on July 8th is we have to discuss what's going on, or we have to address the recommendations by the state, and everybody become familiar with it.
Look at our current bylaws.
Even though it will be an open meeting to the public, I don't think we have to be advertising that we want to draw people in
No.
for public input at this point.
Right. Now we post anyways, now we post as one of our
And
agenda
it would say
items.
solar moratorium on the agenda.
Okay, so we'll do it the 8th.
It's more of a workshop we need
Right.
to get ourselves acclimated.
But what we have to do is get the recommendations that the state put out back. Winter time, wasn't
We'll
it?
just have Chris, ask Chris to send those to us again.
I'm sure have them somewhere.
Okay.
I can look and send them, but in the meantime, do you want to start getting some stuff from the other towns to see how they?
It's entirely up to anybody that wants to do that.
Well, I was asking Bill if he would get the stuff together, and that shouldn't take too long, either you or Ken. Get it together and send it to the board. Here's what the other towns are doing, because what, Belchertown just redid theirs, has Hadley redid theirs, a couple others.
Now I want to look at a town that is similar to Granby. Hadley is not similar to Granby. You know, Belchertown, somewhat, you know, but the people always talk about, you know, and I don't see Hadley being a comparison to what Granby is. I mean, Hadley has a tremendous amount of commercial land, commercial property, and Granby to me
I
is more of
I
a-
see Hadley being more compatible to Granby than Belchertown, size-wise.
Population-wise,
Yeah.
it's just that
They've got the sacrificed Route 9.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. They have a lot of different commercial space and businesses that doesn't really, you know, where they're you know, I look at, I don't know, we can see this around town. I just don't think it's a fair comparison.
Well, we'll see what PVPC comes up with.
You know, I mean, there's a lot
That's all.
of different towns in Massachusetts that are very similar to Granby as far as like with limited businesses, as well as almost like a bedroom community, if you will, as far as that, you know, so. You know, same type of, you know, population, same type of areas and stuff like that. So, that's just my thought on it, you know.
maybe Hatfield.
Yeah, I'm always like comparing apples to apples, not this,
Right, but PVPC would have the,
right.
that would be their place where they would have all of them probably in their files, because I'm sure
Yeah.
they'd help them.
Yeah, I could ask them
Yeah,
to
but I'm
provide some
in favor of
samples.
that. I mean, I don't know if we need a vote from the board to do that or not, but
To what?
to have PVPC, do all that information for us.
Are you, so you're saying we should vote?
Do we need a vote to have a vote? Because
No.
they're part of our thing anyway, so we don't think we need a vote.
Right.
We'll probably have a new contract at the next meeting.
We're just asking, or assigning a task.
Yeah,
Right.
this is fine, okay. That's what I was pretty much asking, or saying without asking, something like that.
Okay.
All right, so we'll look
Well,
at the July 8th. We'll ask that we try to keep our other work to a very minimum. Ask Kathy if anything can be pushed off to the July 22nd meeting would be preferred. We're going to try to use the July 8th meeting as a working meeting, but a workshop for our.
The gentleman that was just here said he's coming in July.
That might change because I think we gave him some information he wasn't aware of, it sounded like.
Okay.
So that could change, so July 8th.
July 8th.
6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 5:30, 5:45.
6 o'clock works
6
best for me
o'clock.
now, and I prefer that.
Well, could we start at 5:30 and get some of the rudimentary?
You can, I just don't know if 5:30 is hard for me. I anticipate being here, but sometimes it could be difficult, so I want people to understand
Let's
that.
go to 5:30. That way there, if we're,
Like we did tonight.
Right.
we could get some
And I
stuff
can
out of the
always-
way.
Mhm.
I'll let someone know for some reason I'm not gonna be here.
Yeah. Is that good for you, Rob?
Yeah,
Good for you, Rob?
5:30, yeah. Between 5:30 and 6, yeah.
so
Okay.
we will
So-
have a continuation of the Granby DG series. We will have the decision.
Right. And we won't be able to discuss that until Glenn gets here.
Well, I mean, I may be here at 5:30.
Hearing's closed.
Yeah.
Hearing's closed.
No, but I mean,
Until we review.
For signature, yeah.
yeah,
So at our next meeting, we have the usual administrative solar moratorium, Red Rock decision, unless we're doing something tonight.
I'd like to do that tonight because that's been on our agenda. It's been,
Yeah, the end of July is when our time is up.
yeah, and it's been pushed back several times because the board hasn't had a.
I didn't see copies of it in there, though, in
I was just gonna say, has the decision been written?
I thought
the,
it
yes,
was
I
written.
think the only thing Bill needed to, the only thing you needed to do was to take the word draft off the top,
That was it,
and
right,
that was it.
right.
And there were copies to sign in the last one, but we didn't have a full board, so we decided to wait.
Right, we haven't had a full
But I don't know
board.
where the copies are now. I don't think they're in that packet, are they?
I don't know.
Lil, do you know when those, the state recommendations, when that came out, that email from Chris Martin, or?
That was-
Send it out, or Kathy?
Probably shortly after you had met with the select board.
Did you ever get those to us, Bill?
I have,
When you took the draft off? We have the original?
right,
But you only have one, right?
yes.
Let me see what I got here. See if I have a print of it. I believe I do. Hopefully this one matches.
There's no signature page.
Yeah, page 16.
Okay, I opened right to it this time.
So, Lil, going back to solar, you'll send something out, or, did it come from Kathy or Chris, or? Chris got something. I want to have that soon. We're only 2 weeks before that.
It was in, when was I not there? There was a meeting in the, with select boards, I think that had to be on Monday, on a Monday. I don't have anything from Chris Martin.
Are you sure you're not thinking about the solar thing with creating a electric company, a municipal electric company?
Is that, I know that was something he was supposed to get to you.
That was the thing, I thought that was the one thing he didn't send that we asked for.
Oh,
I don't recall the date. I can check. Let's see what the minutes are in here.
so should we just sign this?
I think they're both the same, so.
You wanna take a look at it?
Two copies.
We voted on it
Yep.
already, so I think we were okay with it last time. The only thing was it had the word draft on it. It's not even-
No, I don't have it here.
Well, we need a vote to sign it. Did we do that already? We approved it, right?
What?
This is the way it was.
Wait, before you sign that, Rob,
Mm-hmm.
you were able to vote on this one?
Red Rock?
Yeah,
I was here for that.
Okay.
That was back in, what, April?
okay.
April something?
It would say in the decision whether you were,
We voted on this.
I think you were.
I'm saying we don't need a vote to sign it.
Yep.
Do we already
So
do
you
that?
vote.
I can't remember that.
Well,
Should we just do what is the case?
everything got held up with Borrego because we took a vote.
Well, there's already been a vote to,
Approved.
so we took a vote to sign Borrego, so I'm saying we should take a vote to sign this. I can't remember, the last time we had, it had draft up on the top, so we couldn't sign it, so I'm not sure, I can't recall whether or not we actually voted to sign it, so I'm just asking, should we take a vote now to sign it, just so it's clear? So,
All right, I'll make a motion to sign a special permit, site plan review approval for CPD Red Rock Solar LLC.
is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Question, is that, it's not just a special permit, right? It's a site plan approval and special permit?
Yes.
He did say that.
I'm not hearing.
Second by Bob. Any further discussion at this time? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
opposed? No.
We should sign that one too.
Yes, I just gave it to him, so
Oh,
this is the whole piece right here. That's just the signature piece. I don't know.
No.
Mess it up, so I gotta keep it in
I'll
order.
give them to Kathy
Yep.
in the morning. newsletter folder.
So they're caught in the moratorium now.
The what?
They're caught in the moratorium. Red Rock?
You already signed it. I'm sorry.
Well, half the project, or a third of the project was talking about.
Right.
Well, those signs.
Yeah, sure.
Did anybody watch the select board meeting on 6/3?
Can I have the rest of the pages? Yes.
I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it.
What's the rest of it?
That's the rest of it.
There was some comments made.
But you have to
regarding-
sign.
There was some comments made by the select board about the planning board, about approving land without access. And I think they were referring to.
Oh, I saw that like 30-minute dissertation, and then Chris Martin pointed out to that particular select person that there is access.
Yeah, so for the record, we wouldn't approve a site plan for a solar without giving them access to maintain it. Now, if it's a sold piece of property, then they would own the access. If it's a leased piece of property, they would lease the access.
Mhm.
And then there was some discussion about A&Rs other A&Rs having access. Well, an A&R is an approval not required by the subdivision bylaws because it's either on street frontage or in some cases land can move between owners that doesn't have frontage. You know, you can chop off a
Yeah,
piece.
there's that one piece they did with the A&R, it was kind of just
Yeah, you can
no
sell
way to
it,
get into it, but
convey it to another party. So an A&R, again, is if it's a building lot, if it's a proposed building lot, an A&R, when they subdivide it, it doesn't necessarily mean, as we stamp on our plans, that it doesn't necessarily mean it's a building lot. It just means it meets the definition of size and square footage and frontages.
But actually, you know, there is a standard for vital access to a lot. So even though a lot may have the amount of frontage on a public way, if you can't get to the buildable portion of the lot because there's a big wetland in front of a steep hill or something, you don't have to sign that plan. So you do have that discretion. It's sort of a limited discretion in that,
Not a buildable lot, a lot.
well, when you create a lot through an A&R plan, it has to have vital access, which basically means suitable for emergency access for fire.
Right, but
you
it's
know,
because I was actually part of the meeting, so.
Go ahead.
So if I had a piece of property and I sold a part of my property to somebody else, is that they would suspect, or I would expect in the agreement, there's a right of way or something to access that property. That would be a condition of selling the property. So that's usually what would take place, you know, whether it's.
But even then, even an agreement for access doesn't make it a buildable lot. You have to have your own access. You don't have to use it, but you have to have your own access to it. 40 foot of frontage that's accessible to the back lot. If it's say it's 150 feet of frontage for a 1 acre lot, 40 feet of it, well, a portion of it has to be accessible for emergency vehicles and for you to access it. That's it.
So, I know, Rob didn't see the select board meeting, but part of it was coming up as whether or not a piece of property was being taken out of section 61A, and whether or not the town of Granby wanted to exercise its right to purchase the property. Obviously, it was recommended by our committee that oversees it to the select board. No, they didn't recommend it to buy it. But this particular property that was being talked about, there actually was access to it. Someone else had looked at it and didn't see the access, but there actually was access to it. So that's what kind of.
Well, there was also a statement made that somebody you could own a piece of property that's in 61A and then put a 5-foot buffer around the whole property so the town couldn't access it if they exercised their right. You can't do that here.
Right.
You know, you can't put a buffer there to keep people, or not just the town, but anybody. So that was a false statement to say that you could do that. That was incorrect. And the purpose of 61A was to preserve agricultural or horticultural property, to keep it in that same use. It's not a zone, it's just a use within the zone. It's still residential property, but they're using it as agriculture. So the whole idea of giving the landowner a tax break was to make it advantageous for them to keep it that way. And the whole premise of giving the town first right of refusal, if they chose to sell it for another purpose, was so that the town could buy it and maintain it in the same status as agricultural and horticultural, not to take it and use it for profit. That's not the premise of first right of refusal, because there was a comment made about, well, the town could purchase this property at assessed value. That was a false statement too. It goes, the way it works is when you take it out of 61A, the town has first right of refusal. The town has to hire an appraiser and get it appraised at fair market value, not at assessed value. That's two different values, assessed versus appraised fair market value. Then if the landowner isn't happy with that number or objects to it, they then can hire an appraiser at their cost to come up with their number, to come up with a number. Then if they still both, at a difference, then they can mutually agree to hire a neutral appraiser to go out and come up with a fair market value. And if they still can't come to an agreement, then the landowner at any point during that process has the right to reject it and kill the sale. So, but the purpose of it isn't to say we could purchase it at assessed value, turn it into a solar field, the same thing that the landowner was trying to do. Turn it into a solar field, reap the profit for the first 5 years, pay off the assessed value that you purchased it for, and then the town reaps the profit from the rest of the time that the solar field is in 15 or 20 years after the fact. That's not what the first right of refusal is about. So, and between that, the comments made about that, and the putting a 5-foot buffer, you can't do that. That's illegal. And that's all governed. The planning board doesn't govern 61A. That's the Board of Assessors and the Registry of Deeds. That's where it gets caught. We approve an A&R. We don't know whether it's in us. You can ask, but we don't know whether it's in 61A. That's why when we get the Mylars and the copies, we send it off to the assessors. They're the ones that are, if I'm not mistaken, they're the ones that usually catch it and say.
Well, we've never gotten anything from them saying, I guess they
Well,
would
we
only
would
say
go to the
something.
select board from them.
Oh,
We don't have
because
anything.
they report to us. But then how would we know if we did something wrong with that?
It doesn't matter.
We're approving an A&R based on the bylaws that we follow.
It doesn't matter if it's 61
Right.
to us. It's a process. They have to, it's like everything else we talked about tonight. You have to get approval from us to subdivide the land, right?
Right?
Then the next step is you take it to conservation, or the next step is you take it, the board of assessors takes it and says, this isn't 61A. There's a process to take that out of 61.
I can have.
If you're gonna do something, if you're gonna do something other than agricultural.
Right, you can have agricultural and separate it into 5 lots if you want to, and keep it that way, and then,
Yeah, you can actually build on it, if it's a family member or it's someone that's working the farm full-time, you can build on it.
But it has to
I
have
didn't
something to
realize
do
that.
with the agriculture. So if you could split it into lots, let's just say there's a big family and they're still all kind of farming, if they split off lots for each kid to have a lot, that they could do, right? But it's still 61A?
So 61.
as long as it's, I would say, not working land, right, as far as farming.
Those aren't pulled out and put into residential?
That I'm not sure about.
I would
What
think because it's
what I'm
not-
saying is, it may go into residential as long as it's a family member, but
Right,
it
yeah, a sale,
doesn't go, the town doesn't get first right of refusal on it.
right, it has to be a sale for a development purpose in order to trigger the 61A. If it's a sale to another farmer, for example, that doesn't trigger the right of first refusal. But a family member could buy a portion of that lot. You take that pad, that building pad, out of 61A, it might be an acre.
Right.
So you take that out of the entire parcel.
Right.
For somebody to put a house on.
Right.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it would come out of 61A.
Pardon?
It would come out of 61A and into residential then.
I think so.
Right.
And that's, and correct me if I'm wrong, as long as it's not the primary resident for that. So it's for farms, agriculture, when I build a house on a farm, that'll be the house will become residential, the whole property is, because it's the farm is the, part of the,
But if it continues in farming,
right,
then that's
it's the
fine.
farm, right, it's part of it.
Strange question here, but with the Route 202 being expanded, enlarged, when you get down to the businesses, and we kind of touched on this in another meeting, they take a whole big lot of frontage on there, and now all of a sudden they're non-conforming. What happens? Do they have to?
Pre-existing non-conforming.
Pre-existing non-conforming? They become that? Do you know anything about that?
Well, what was the question again?
Well, we have some businesses down on 202 that when they have the
They
required
widen the
amount of
road.
frontage right now, and some may be very close to not having it, but then if the state takes, say, 5 feet, they're gonna be already out of compliance.
With their setbacks.
Right, so it's possible, but generally there's a provision that would allow that land to remain, in conforming with zoning. If the state highway comes in and takes a portion of it.
Unless they took a piece that made it where they couldn't operate at all.
Say it came right up to the building or something.
Then they take it by, I guess is it eminent domain? Because they're doing that now in 202. They're doing that on residential lots, and they're paying them for, which in some cases, if, like in Granby on a side street, you're supposed to have a 40-foot setback.
Hmm.
Right? And in
From
some
property
cases-
line.
From the property line. So in some cases, if the town was to shift the road or widen the road, and now they've only got a 30-foot setback, then you can't tell them they're gonna move their house.
Right.
So there isn't anything the planning board's gonna have to be aware to do with this widening for businesses that might not have the proper amount of frontage.
Well, if a lot is non-conforming, in order to do an expansion, for example, they would need to go to the ZBA for an expansion of a non-conforming structure.
But I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, though. So if that changes and they're no longer conforming to the bylaws, they're just, as Jim said, non-conforming pre-existing. But that's something they have to do unless they're gonna change
Right.
their property or change their building or something like that. If I'm gonna say that, if I have a building there at 202 and my frontage has changed from the reconstruction of Route 202, and now my property is no longer conforming to the bylaws, but I can still operate my business out of there.
Sure. You're
It's just,
legal non-conforming lot.
I think it's, Jim said it's non-conforming, pre-existing.
Mhm.
Until the point where I say, well, maybe now I want to change it. I want to add to my building, want to do this, and that would, I think, trigger the whole, you're no longer pre-existing because you're changing it, I think at that
It
point.
just becomes a ZBA approval at that point.
So that answer, is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Way off.
so there's nothing for us to do because it's kind of a given.
Well, when they have they had any of the hearings yet? I think they have.
They had one,
Had
yeah.
one.
And I think I was out of town.
I did not see it.
I was there.
That,
There was 4 people there. Maybe 5.
that's, we reviewed plans a while ago for something that they were proposing on the Dunkin' Donuts, Amherst Street.
Coming down, right?
We as the town sent a letter saying that we didn't agree with
Right to Mass DOT.
the Mass DOT's taking the,
Oh, a lot of the parking lot. What they're gonna do is they're gonna leave Amherst Street where it's at, but they're gonna add a bike lane or a right turn lane. So they'll take a little bit of the parking lot, but not as much, and they're gonna move the entrance to Cumberland's to match up with Amherst Street. So they're gonna shift that over.
There was
And there will be
before,
no left turn out of Dunkin's where people go in now. You have to either go up to the light or you have to go into Amherst.
but see, the first proposal, or a proposal that they sent a while back, the town, especially DPW, raised concerns about taking such a big chunk of that parking
Yeah.
lot.
they were trying to line up the exit entrance out of Cumberland Farms with Amherst Street.
Right,
And
so now
doing
they're
so
doing
they
it
took
the
out
other way
the.
around. They're moving Cumberland's entrance over.
So their process works similar to ours. They're having a public hearing to get input on what they're proposing
Mhm.
as far as, and between planning, zoning, and the actual business operators down there, they should go to the meetings and.
Yeah, they,
voice concern.
Alex recorded that, so it's recorded, but I know David Rocher asked.
It's on YouTube.
Okay.
It's already there? If
It's
they,
on YouTube already.
if they would consider putting a right turn lane coming this way at the light right next to Cumberland's, CVS, because people are riding over the curb there to,
Oh, it's
they're in
awful.
such a big hurry. So he asked them to consider putting a right turn lane there and also a left turn lane coming this way to turn into Cumberland's. Right now, people have to sit on that yellow thing that doesn't really say left turn. So,
But I'm saying that that's the process.
Right.
You said what would they do? You know, if they were to cut into, say, Granby liquor, and it was going to cause issues, that's the point when they should be there. I'm sure they've all got written notices, just like we do.
oh yeah,
We
yeah.
send out to show up and voice your concerns about the impact it'll have on your,
Yeah, the
it'll take
gentleman,
parking spaces away or whatever.
the gentleman from All Power is not happy. Because they want to take a big chunk of his display in the front where he's got all
Square,
his
it's
equipment.
huge, yeah.
So,
Okay.
okay, getting nowhere.
You have anything else you want to say?
I just wanted to address some of those things that stuck out when I watched that. I think I covered like most of this.
Okay.
Do you want to do the permitting guide at the next meeting, or?
Well, I wouldn't say next meeting, because we're trying to, I just got done saying, we're trying to limit.
I've got to go.
Yeah, so, can we push that off to the second meeting in July? So we have a problem with that or concern with that?
Okay,
Bob's got to leave. I know we just kind of talked about putting time aside for our next meeting, July 8th, to work on the moratorium. If you think we have time for it, then I'm fine with that, but I know we kind of want to see what we can do there.
You sign that? No, it's gonna go with the package.
mhm.
Well, I sent mine to Kathy. Kathy doesn't email. I thought
No, she doesn't know anything about these. I just went and saw it
Oh,
today.
I thought someone said that Kathy had to get this.
No, it should go with the paperwork for the, in our files,
Oh, okay.
for that particular applicant.
I'll bring mine to the next meeting.
Or something.
And did you two sign the amendment?
Take care, Bob. Have a good night.
Have a good night, all.
You too.
Let's sign one amendment.
The PVPC. You have it there? So I can,
I thought I gave that to you. You don't have one?
let me look.
Make a motion to adjourn.
A second?
During discussion? Is it okay? All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed?